I'm here today with Adam Dempsey at Deluxe Mastering, having a chat to him about their philosophy, what they do, where they're from, all that kind of thing. Adam.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, man, how are you?
Good to see you.
It's been a long time.
I know, working down cars and whatnot.
I know. Adam and I have been trying to line up this interview for some time now, and my fault, unfortunately. Cars going bung and all sorts of stuff, but I'm here. Your philosophy, your mixed philosophy, your ethos, I guess, with dealing with musicians and the stuff that they've actually recorded, because it's very close to their hearts. How do you deal with them?
It just made me think. I've got a book at home called Everything You Need to Know About Philosophy, and it's the thickness of my finger. Look, essentially, there's a team of us here, and we all operate on the premise of let's serve the music and the client. And just do whatever it takes to make sure we can get the best. And if that best means saying to a client diplomatically and hopefully with them attending the session that there are things that need looking at, then we'll do that as well. So a big part of what we offer is an assessment, and which I believe is the major part of mastering, is that objective, fresh assessment. When I say assessment more than judgment, because like I said, we like to have the client involved. So it really comes down to having a really unflattering, accurate monitoring room, whereby we can make decisions without compromise. There's no second guessing, and we can make it sound as good as we can. In here, it will translate. So one example this morning was having a client in who had some serious issues with a couple of mixes, whether it be bottom end or kick, but on one track it was the phase of their guitar, and we were able to fix that through getting hold of a couple of different mixes from his mix session, which he brought in with him, and load them up in tools and and check them in mono and just make sure that there was no damage being done. And because initially, the lead guitar, the lead electric guitar was just disappearing in mono. It sounded like a tape out of azimuth. For people who know what that means, it's when you've got a left-right delay and things just severely cancel in mono. So we were able to totally fix that and save the whole session with him being able to be here and hear it from himself, which was a good learning experience for him as well. So we're really into being really open. We don't. It's not a black art. There's no magic myths. It's just let's just show you what we're listening to and listen in a really accurate room, and work from there and try to incorporate any subjective artistic decisions that the client might have while they're here as well.
Absolutely. So essentially what you're saying is you basically, whether they're from the top of the industry or the bottom of the industry, you are dealing with them in the exact same fashion. I mean, you guys have dealt with some amazing artists. I mean, just being out there, having a look at some of the credits that both yourself and Tony have, you've dealt with the top echelon of the industry. On a personal note, I've actually brought my own demo in here before from my own band, and being told by Tony, perhaps you should go back and have a look at the mix. And it was, I guess, one of the more awakening experiences about my own mixing. Because when you're essentially mixing in a not very controlled environment, like a lot of us have, it's difficult to make a call on the bottom end, and this room is just amazing. We were actually listening to Pink Floyd just a moment ago, and it's just at low volume. It's crazy. Yeah,
there's a lot to be said for monitoring at low levels as well. But like I said, it's not an embellished sound in here. It's just very honest. And if there's an issue, you'll hear it, and we'll pick up on it straight away. I think one of the greatest issues is for people who are less than experienced is mixing for mono, checking their mixes in mono. And the other major aspect of what we do is correcting for any inaccuracies in the mix room. So if if they're mixing from home or in a less than ideal room, usually it's a bottom end. It might be a case where they're not hearing a lot of subsonic stuff. There might be an abundance of that, and they bring it in here. Or it could be the kick, but it may not be the may not be the kick itself, it might just be the bottom end of the kick, and there's always other ways of hearing it, and so just coming in and being able to trust what you're hearing, and for us to hopefully not have to rescue things, but just I'm a bit of a purist. Every job that comes in is a clean slate, and it's just a case of whatever it takes, and hopefully that whatever it takes is not too much.
You would tend to hope so,
yeah.
Especially, I mean, I've probably much like yourself. I've been in mix sessions that go 10 hours plus.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there trying to find a certain problem, and you're going in and out of, say, 4 seconds of audio trying to find an issue. Now, how do you combat your ears getting tired? Because honestly, myself, I mean, as most of you know, I'm a live engineer chiefly, and I do find that in between sets I actually put my earplugs in, and give my ears a rest. How do you find yourself combating that issue? Because I find myself that things end up sounding quite one-dimensional if I've been mixing for too long.
Yeah, you've got to keep it fresh. You've got to take rests. I work at a pretty constant monitoring level, which a lot of professional mastering engineers do. I think it's between 80 and 85 dB SPL from the working position. Taking regular breaks, I'll EQ at that reference level, but then generally run the track through quite softly, and always checking in mono, always checking softly. So there's a lot of things you can do to keep it fresh, taking regular breaks and not having a late night the night before. I used to do a bit of live sound mixing as well, and you just can't keep doing it if you're working the next morning.
What?
Yeah. So I mean, we do this because we love it,
yeah.
And we wouldn't be here any other way. We just love hearing great music. I mean, we're lucky to get a lot of amazing variety of acts and Melbourne acts as well. But like I said, we don't favour whether you're signed or independent. My background initially was in public radio as well, so I like to support independent radio and independent artists. This morning we had some guys in who were the winners of the Triple R Radio Fun competition this year, so I was happy to help them out and just go over their 5 tracks. And we do it because we love music, and as far as I'm concerned, and I know it's the same for Tony as well, if you come in here with your tracks it's sounding good and we can tell you've put your heart and soul into it, it's kind of an honour. And I don't mean to sound a bit soppy here, but we really do appreciate working with people who have that creativity and that mindset to really make something out of nothing.
Absolutely. So are you an analogue man or a digital man? Predominantly
analogue, and a lot of people will agree. We just find it sounds better. When I say that, it doesn't mean necessarily coloured, it doesn't mean necessarily warm. I think it's a bit of an overused term, but maybe musical is the word. We've got a couple of Sontec equalisers, which are the real workhorses, and they generally make things sound like a record. They were made for making records. Everything's repeatable. There's nothing in the path unless you want it to be in the path. A lot of the gear is custom modified for mastering or purpose built for mastering. Plugins just generally don't have a lot of need unless it's a really problematic mix. And again, if that was the case, we would try to circumvent that and address the mix first, always. So unless there's no other option and the client has to run with that particular mix, it might be that the bottom end of the subsonics are a bit too dynamic, in which case we might use a low band compression or de-essing on something that's a bit sharp in the mid range. But generally not much in the way of plugins. We've got custom consoles, so we're able to switch everything in and out as need be, but we're also able to match the source. So whatever comes in, we can level match it and constantly reference back to the source mix to make sure we're on track. And I really enjoy, for example, if the client's sitting here on the couch of comfiness and being able to simply compare and say, look, this is where we're at, this is where it was, but then level match it and help them hear the difference as well without being tricked by discrepancies in the volume level.
Just, I guess, more of an industry type question, rather than your specific industry, but I guess a music industry wide question.
Yeah.
Is the loudness war kind of still occurring as far as